Hola, hola, señorita and amigos. 'Tis I, Senor Papi, here to review for you today. And I thought this time I should wear gloves, because it's a lot better. Anyway, the next review I'm going to review for you today is not a lover, a world's greatest lover, but a masquerading vigilante. And believe it or not, some people call him the clever fox. And he was the inspiration for the superheroes that we know today. And the superhero I'm going to review for you today is Zorro. The masquerading vigilante known as Zorro. And for those of you who don't know, Zorro means fox in Spanish. So they technically call him the fox. But how he started? His story started all the way back in the Pulp Fiction era. If you remember the reviewer of the Shadow, you know what Pulp Fiction are. And the first Pulp Fiction novel ever written, starring Zorro, where is this? The Curse of Capistrano. That is the original story of Zorro. The Curse of Capistrano. In the story, there is an evil general who is boosting the taxes against innocent people who cannot afford the money. So, son of a rich billionaire who goes by the name of Don Diego, traveling from Spain, who now finally returned to California. But of course back then, California used to be part of Mexico back then. And as seeing the tyranny and the corruption going on in his land, Don Diego decided to go against crime, to battle against tyranny and those who harm the innocent by wearing a mask and riding his black horse into the night and called himself Zorro. And the first Zorro movie ever made was starring Douglas Fairbanks, called Mock of Zorro. That is true, my dear amigo. Douglas Fairbanks is known as the first Zorro in silent movie history. And it was the greatest Zorro movie ever made in California. And then when the talkies came about, they decided to do a talkies version of Zorro, starring Terran Power. This version of Mock of Zorro, the talkie version. And of course starring Basil Rathbone before he played Sherlock Holmes. This time he plays a villain in this one. And when serials came about, they decided to do a series of Zorro. So they done this one, called Zorro, Rise Again. And this one has a very catchy, and I had to say, this serial have a catchy theme song. And decided to do a sequel of the serials called The Ghost of Zorro. Ooh, spooky. See? Santa Maria. And they decided to do sort of a next generation version of Zorro, so therefore they made the Son of Zorro. And did you know that Walt Disney got himself involved with Zorro? So they even Walt Disney himself decided to do his version of Zorro, starring some of the cast from the Mickey Mouse Club. And this is Walt Disney's version of Zorro. I guess Walt Disney want to get their hands on the masked vigilante. The clever fox himself, Zorro. Until around the 80s. Around the 80s, they decided to do a more dramatic and more adventurous and more daring series of Zorro. So therefore, Family Channel, before they were called Fox Family Channel, did their version of Zorro. I guess Zorro never ends, mi amigo. Haha. And of course, animators like to do series, cartoon series of Zorro. There's one they made back in the 60s, where he has other masked vigilantes helping him along. And then they did more of a tribute animated series of Zorro. And believe it or not, Japan want to get involved in the Zorro franchise, so therefore they made an animated series of Zorro. Santa Maria, cannot imagine Japanese want to get involved in the Zorro franchise. Imagine that. And recently they decided to do a Zorro in the future, where the latest descent of the Diego family decided to take on the mask as Zorro. As in this Zorro Generation Z. Well, this time his sword is more like a lightsaber and a whip saber. And even they decided to do another Zorro series, more 3D, called Zorro the Chronicles. And also do not forget comedy got themselves involved in the Zorro franchise themselves. And the greatest comedy I have ever seen in my life that I always still find it hilarious to me. And it is Zorro the Gay Braid. Oh, that is a very funny movie, mi amigo. Indeed. Starring the hilarious George Hamilton. George Hamilton is playing Diego, and this time he decided to take on the mantle as Zorro once again. But it turns out that one of his stunts, he broke his leg, so it's going to be a while before his leg starts to heal up. But he needs somebody to take over, since his leg is way beyond compare. Way beyond repair. So therefore, he meets his gay cousin from France. And his gay cousin, he's not good with a sword, but he is good with a whip. Santa Maria. What is it with gay guys and whips? I mean, seriously. What is he, an S&M person? Ah. All in all, it is a good and hilarious movie, Zorro the Gay Braid. Now this one, I do have a Blu-ray of these movies, but sadly, I lost it. Santa Maria. I lost it, so I had to print it out. And it was my favorite Zorro ever made. And both of them starring my idol actor, named Antonio Banderas. Mark of Zorro and the Legend of Zorro. Mask of Zorro was about Anthony Hopkins, which I have to complain because he's not Hispanic. But anyway, he did a good job playing Zorro. But he'd been double-crossed by his former friend who is his enemy. Killed his wife and kidnapped his daughter and burned his house and threw him into the dungeon. And after he escaped from the dungeon, he vowed vengeance toward his enemy, but discovered that he cannot deal against him alone, because he's getting old, and he cannot continue on the mantle as Zorro, and his daughter has been raised by his enemy. So he found Antonio Banderas' character. His brother was killed by the captain of our main bad guy, so now he vowed vengeance on the death of his brother. So therefore, he teach him how to be Zorro. Teach him the trade. Teach him the sword fight. How to ride a horse. And how to use a whip. So he can find his vengeance. And also, sweep off the feet of the lovely Catherine Zeta-Jones. And yes, I know, Catherine Zeta-Jones is not Hispanic. She is British. But I will not hold that against her. Because how hot she is, I do not care. Even I have a soft spot for the lovely Catherine Zeta-Jones. Senorita, one of these days, Senorita Jones, you will be mine. While Legend of Zorro, well, I have to say that it was pretty good, but it's also very funny. And the horse is a lot funnier than he was in the first movie. But what made me really mad is that the men from the Pinkertons know who Zorro is and talk to his wife into being undercover against this bad guy who's planning to bomb the entire world with nitroglycerin. Santa Maria. And also, he has a son. Zorro has a son. All in all, Mask of Zorro and Legend of Zorro were the greatest Zorro movies I ever have, and I am proud to have it on Blu-ray. If I can find the darn thing. If I can find the blasted thing. To all of us, all Zorro fans, Zorro never know when to die. He'll always live on forever. As what I'm going to tell you this time, that now there are some comic books of Zorro, but most of them are based from the TV show from Walt Disney and the animated series. But another comic book company called Dynamite Entertainment decided to do a new comic book of a new Zorro, a man who is a next descendant of the Diego family. Another descendant of the Zorro family, who now becomes Dynamite Entertainment version of Zorro. And this is Zorro in the present time, mi amigo. See, he is Zorro in the present time comic book. And he also teams up with all the other classic superheroes from Pulp Fiction, like the Green Hornet and the Shadow, the Black Bat, the Green Lime, and so forth. And also that one vigilante who calls himself the Spider. And they also did some where his ancestors met their own ranger and Django. You know, from the Quentin Tarantino movie Django Unchained. Well, now Zorro teamed up with Django in the comics. Zorro will always go on forever. And I know about the comic book of Dracula, of Zorro versus Dracula. I wish I can go one-on-one to that blood-sucking fiend, But sadly, he's no longer a fiend since he is reviewing vampire stuff. I'll let that slide. And rumor has it that there is a new... I see it starts to rain. But anyway, the show must go on. There is a new Zorro movie planning to be made in the future. Probably in the year 2018. And he's being played by Gail Garcia Bernal. And that's him. Imagine him playing Zorro. Might be pretty interesting if any of you remembers him in any Mexican movies he starred in. But this is my review of Zorro, my dear watchers. So for any of you who likes the review, please leave a comment down below, hit like, and subscribe. And if you see this on Facebook, hit share, so everybody can watch it. Now as for me, I'm going to end this review with another video where I can show you my sword fighting skills. So, till next time, adios mi amigo. And I hear that Multiverse Reviewer will return once again. And he's returning to review something very special that he is dying to review for you. He's going to review a sci-fi movie made in the 50s called Forbidden Planet. So stay tuned. And it is adios to Senor Papi. Till next time. Olay!